The next essential component of MDE's MTSS model is data and assessment. Within data assessment, there are three subtopics: monitoring progress, database decision making, and the use of assessments for three distinct purposes. Monitoring progress refers to the frequent monitoring of student progress in order to inform instruction and ongoing data collection to inform stakeholders of progress students are making and evaluate whether or not students need additional supports. Any available data should be considered in this process. In many cases, there are already many forms of data already being collected. Research suggests a formal decision-making or problem-solving process is essential to MTSS. MDE has provided a framework for looking at the data within the school improvement process with a link listed below. Within this framework, stakeholders or your leadership team begins with the gather step, where data is assembled for the next step, which is to study the data. The study step is where your team analyzes the data, validating with other data if possible to inform the third step, developing a plan of action. The plan step is developed to solve or address the issues your team identified in the study step. The next step is the do or implement the plan. Once the plan is underway or implemented, you continue to gather data and repeat the process at least 3 times per year in most cases. The final element of the data assessment component of MTSS is the specific purpose and use of assessment. Within MDE's MTSS model, and research as well, assessment should be used for the screening of all students in order to get an accurate picture of both the strength of your school's core instruction, but also to identify particular skills that your students may be struggling with. The next or deeper look at student academic proficiency is diagnostic testing. Diagnostic testing is done for students who were identified through the screening process to have specific deficiencies. Interventions work best when they are matched exactly with the needs of students. If students are far below proficiency, diagnostic testing help identify the specific areas students need support with. Last is progress monitoring, which tells us if the intervention is working. Interventions are not designed to be a long-term venture. Instead, they should be short, specific, intense bursts of support and learning activities that directly meet the needs of the students. The only way we can monitor learning intensely is through frequent progress monitoring. These usually are really short and only measure the skill actually being intervened. The intention of lesson 1.2 is to get you thinking about assessments within the MTSS model, and also for you to begin to think about what assessments do you already have. So the first question is, do you currently administer an assessment that all students take that can be used as a universal screener? It's important that all students are taking this assessment because it gives you an idea where students are in relation to proficiency targets. It'll surprise you that sometimes you think certain students have certain material mastered. Sometimes it might only be a skill, but you would be surprised to find that there are other students that don't master that target, and the universal screener would show you that that's an issue. The next would be, does your school have a leadership team or grade level team that meets at least 3 times a year to look at student data? We know nowadays in education we can't wait for an end of year exam or for state assessment data to inform our instruction, that we need to be adjusting our instruction frequently, and we can only do that through frequent formative assessments. But there has to be a process where people come together and say, well, what does our data tell us and what do we have to do next? And that has to happen at least 3 times a year. That way we can make sure that our healthy MTSS system is working correctly. The last one is, are there formal structures in place in your school that encourage or require teachers to customize their teaching in response to assessment data? In other words, do you have a policy or do you have some kind of clearinghouse or structure with teachers where teachers have to show that they demonstrate an adjustment to the curriculum based on formative assessment data? Sometimes that's done through an evaluation where teachers have to demonstrate that as a component of highly qualified or highly effective status. Sometimes that's done through walkthroughs that principals do. But there needs to be some kind of structure that encourages teachers to be making adjustments to their curriculum as the year progresses.